France's prime minister just threw in the towel after only 28 days in office. And he's the third one to quit in less than a year. Once again, President Emmanuel Macron finds himself up a creek without a paddle, trying to steer a country that's basically ungovernable. I'm Grant, and this is Phrasal Verb News, the show where you learn real English through real stories and walk away with something interesting to talk about with your colleagues. First, I'll break down the story, then explain the phrasal verbs and idioms with examples. Y también les voy a dar una breve explicación en español para que todo quede más claro. So what's happening in France? Well, Macron's government has been split ever since last year's snap election left parliament without a clear majority. Parties on the left and right can't see eye to eye or get on the same page about how to tackle France's massive national debt, which now is one of the highest in Europe. Facing pressure from all sides, Macron asked the outgoing prime minister to please stay another 48 hours in a last-ditch effort to save the government and avoid yet another election. But unfortunately, this didn't work. And with almost 3/4 of French voters saying Macron should step down, even his own allies are losing patience. For years, he tried to please everyone, even calling himself the president for all the French people, or le président pour tous les Français. But in politics, just like in business, if you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. Now, let's break down today's expression. I'll give you the meaning, an example, and a question. Remember to answer the question in your head or out loud so you can practice the new vocab right away. First, we have throw in the towel. This means to give up or admit defeat. It comes from boxing. If a boxer is getting beat up too badly, his coach will throw a towel into the ring, kind of surrendering and stopping the fight. For example, France's prime minister threw in the towel after just 28 days in office. After months of poor sales, the company finally threw in the towel and shut down the product line. En español es como tirar la toalla. Por ejemplo, el primer ministro francés tiró la toalla después de menos de un mes en el cargo. And a question, have you ever had to throw in the towel on a project that just wasn't working? Next, we have see eye to eye or get on the same page. Both of these idioms mean to agree or share the same opinion. For example, France's political parties can't see eye to eye or get on the same page about how to fix the economy. Our team finally got on the same page after we clarified our goals. En español es como estar o ponerse de acuerdo. Por ejemplo, los partidos políticos no logran ponerse de acuerdo sobre cómo reducir la deuda. And a question, do people in your company usually see eye to eye or do they often clash? Next, we have up a creek without a paddle. This means to be in a very difficult situation with no easy solution. For example, Macron is up a creek without a paddle, stuck between angry voters and divided politicians. When the deal fell through, the sales team was up a creek without a paddle. En español es como estar en una situación difícil o en Colombia puede decir cagado y sin agua. Por ejemplo, el presidente se encuentra en una situación muy complicada sin salida fácil. And a question, have you ever found yourself up a creek without a paddle at work? What did you do? To give you a bit of a visual explanation for this, a creek is like a small river and a paddle is what you use to row a boat. So if you're up a creek and you don't have a paddle, you're kind of in a bad situation without a good solution. Next, we have last-ditch effort. This is a final, desperate attempt to achieve something before failure. For example, Macron asked his PM to stay 48 more hours as a last-ditch effort to save the government. The company made a last-ditch effort to win the client with a big discount. En español, es como esfuerzo desesperado o intento de último minuto. Por ejemplo, hicieron un esfuerzo de último momento para salvar el proyecto. And a question, when was the last time you made a last-ditch effort to fix something? Finally, we have step down. This just means to resign or leave an important position voluntarily. For example, 3 prime ministers have already stepped down in less than a year. The CEO stepped down after 10 years to spend more time with his family. En español es como renunciar o dejar el cargo. Por ejemplo, el primer ministro renunció tras perder el apoyo de su partido. And a question. Do you think leaders should step down when they lose public trust? So, to wrap up, France's third prime minister in a year just threw in the towel, leaving Macron up a creek without a paddle. The country's parties still can't see eye to eye or get on the same page about how to handle its growing national debt. Now, Macron is making a last-ditch effort to save his government, but with polls turning against him, many wonder if it's time for him to step down. Once called the president for all French people, he's now fighting to remain relevant, and as the master of timing, he may soon discover that time waits for no one. Gracias por escuchar. I'm Grant with Phrasal Verb News. Come back next time for more stories, more idioms, and more English.